Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is a morning update. All right, quickly before I jump into the article, folks, it is almost time for Santa Fe. I get the tingles just thinking about it. The second I touch down, the work will begin. Hit the ground running, meet with my sources, document what they have to say, and then get that information packaged and ready to deliver to you folks. There will be obviously the daily podcasts while I'm there. I'm going to do a live broadcast while I'm there, maybe even from the front, the front of Zorro Ranch when I get out to Zorro Ranch. I'm sure I'm not going to get access to the ranch itself, but I'll certainly be in the driveway or at the, whatever the public maintained road is, and getting some footage, and we'll do like I said, a live broadcast from there. And we're going to compile a bunch of evidence, folks. We're going to compile everything that we possibly can and try and get it, packaged up and a bow put on it for you. Now, who knows what we're going to learn? Who knows what these sources are going to have to say? But I can tell you this much, I'm confident that we're going to be able to put some pieces together about what occurred in Santa Fe after this trip. Because what we have so far is just a little scratch of the surface from a lot of these reports about New Mexico. A lot of the focus has been on New York, the Virgin Islands, and Florida. So we want to peel the layers back a little bit here in New Mexico, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm really excited to see where it goes, and I have a really good feeling that these sources are going to be very, very, very interesting to speak to. I also plan on visiting the Santa Fe Institute while I'm there, and seeing if I could get a tour of the campus and kind of get an idea of what Jeffrey Epstein's impact on the campus was. So that's what we have coming up, folks, and I hope you're as excited as I am. And like I was talking about earlier as well, I'm going to put together a small documentary about the trip. So that should be pretty interesting, and once that's all, edited and ready to go, I'll have that launched out and prepared for you as soon as I can. So, with that said, we're going to jump into today's article. And today's article is from Fox Business, and it's about Virginia Roberts responding to the 60 Minutes interview. So, we're going to see what they have to say here in this article. I have not read this article yet, so we'll see. We'll see what it has to say. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. All right, headline. Epstein accuser responds in wake of 60 Minutes report. Survivors deserve answers. One of Jeffrey Epstein's most vocal accusers sounded off on social media Monday in the wake of media reports surrounding the financier, pedophile's controversial death earlier this year inside of a federal jail cell. Virginia Roberts voiced her thoughts early Monday morning about CBS's 60 Minutes investigation into the death of the 66-year-old previously convicted sex offender, pedophile, who was found unconscious inside his MCC unit in New York City on August 10th, hanging from strips of orange bedsheets. And a note on the MCC, if you watch the show Power, that's exactly where the show was taking place last night, where some of the characters from the show have got caught up in some trouble, and they were in the MCC, and I was laughing a little bit as they were talking about it. I couldn't help but think about Jeffrey Epstein. And in the tweet from Virginia Roberts, she said, "I'm glad his death is being investigated. There were way too many anomalies surrounded by Epstein's incarceration and his death to be ignored. Us survivors deserve answers as to what happened to this monster, for us never get to take his freedom away as he took ours." Man, every time I see one of her tweets and I read more of her posts, I feel even more bad for this girl. All she wants is some damn justice. All she wants is some damn justice. Why is it so hard? Why was it so hard for people to listen? Why was it so hard for people to go into motion and to go into action and protect girls like her from these sick, sick bastards? The report aired Sunday night and featured interviews with former warden Cameron Lindsay and Fox News contributor and former New York City medical examiner Dr. Michael Baden, who was enlisted by Epstein's brother Mark Epstein to investigate the circumstances surrounding his death. And what they want us to believe is because Michael Baden was paid for by Epstein's family to investigate the circumstances into his death, that we shouldn't believe him and he is not credible. That's the premise that the mainstream narrative is working off of. Meanwhile, why should we believe Sampson? She's employed by the city. The city has a lot to lose, and the federal government has a lot to lose by Jeffrey Epstein being murdered in their custody, right? You would think that it wouldn't just be two low-level guards who want to engage in a cover-up. You think they're the only two people that were exposed because of this? Come on, folks. Come on. The segment also showed never-before-seen photos, including images taken during the autopsy and showing the jail cell where Epstein had been held without a cellmate, despite orders for him not to be left alone. The financier, pedophile, had just also recently been taken off of suicide watch following an alleged suicide attempt. And we know after that first attempt, Jeffrey Epstein said he was attacked. He did not say that he tried to commit suicide. He said that he was attacked. He was in a jail cell with Nicholas Tartaglione, however you want to say it. And this man was in there on suspicion of 4 murders in a drug deal gone bad. And this is the guy you put in with Jeffrey Epstein, the most prized prisoner in the federal system at this point. You put him in there with an accused murderer. There's no, hackers or anything you could put him in there with. You have to put him in there with a murderer, huh? Makes sense. Just weeks prior to his death, he was discovered semi-conscious, sprawled out in his cell with injuries to his neck. Baden previously told Fox and Friends Epstein's injuries were more consistent with murder than suicide. His determination hinged on 2 bone fractures in Epstein's larynx, in the area of the Adam's apple, and a 3rd break on the bone above the Adam's apple, the hyoid. Those 3 fractures are extremely unusual in suicidal hangings and could occur much more commonly in homicidal strangulation, Baden said during the segment. I've not seen in 50 years where that occurred in a suicidal hanging case. 50 years, folks. This guy had a show on HBO where he was talking about autopsies, etc., for years. I remember as a kid seeing it on HBO and saying to myself, who the hell is this guy? And now all of a sudden, oh, well, Dr. Baden, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Like, he got fired by Ed Koch, so, he doesn't know what he's talking about, guys. Like, come on. What do you believe, all of that, fake news? You should really watch Rachel Maddow. She'll really tell you what's going on. Jake Tapper's really got everything locked in, folks. Oh, no, you should watch Sean Hannity. He'll definitely tell you the truth. Give me a break. Give me a break. I believe Dr. Baden more than any of those newsreaders. Epstein, who was previously convicted of prostituting an underage girl, I don't even know what that means. Prostituting an underage girl? How can an underage girl be a prostitute? How can an underage girl be a prostitute if she cannot even consent? That's so stupid. I hate the wording there. Was charged in July with sex trafficking of minors and conspiracy, but the criminal case was dismissed following his death. He was reportedly worth more than $550 million and owned properties in New York City, New Mexico, West Palm Beach, France, and on the U.S. Virgin Islands. Executors for Epstein's estate later announced plans for a victims' compensation fund to be established. Though the criminal case against Epstein was dismissed following his death, authorities are still investigating potential co-conspirators and associates such as British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell. Several accusers have filed civil lawsuits against the financier pedophile's estate. One of the images showed during the 60-minute segment showed a note Epstein allegedly left behind, which listed complaints he had against the jail staff. In November, the jail guards tasked with overseeing the multimillionaire's jail cell around the time of his death were arrested pursuant to a grand jury indictment. Tova Noel and Michael Thomas were accused of neglecting their duties by failing to perform checks on Epstein every half hour as required and of fabricating log entries to show they had, according to officials and court records. Yeah, all right, well, we know that that's bad news. We know that we can't have guards that are working, protecting inmates who are not doing their job, who are sleeping, who are not making their rounds. Completely unacceptable. What also is unacceptable, in my opinion, is that these are the only 2 people that are being held accountable. Where was their boss that night? Was he sleeping too? What was he playing golf? Was he on X-Hamster? What was he doing? The guards, who were reportedly working overtime because of staffing shortages when Epstein's body was found, were placed on administrative leave while the FBI and the Justice Department's Inspector General continue to investigate. Any allegations of misconduct are taken very seriously by the agency and will be responded to appropriately, Bureau of Prisons Director Kathleen Hawks Sawyer said in a statement at the time of the arrests. I am committed to this agency, and I am confident we will restore the public's trust in us. You're confident in that, huh? Well, I'm glad she's confident in that, because I certainly am not confident in that. Nothing we have seen since this whole entire episode has occurred has instilled any confidence in me. The prison system, the Bureau of Prisons, has been mum. The FBI, not a word. Department of Justice, not a word. Nobody has anything to say but their canned statements. Nobody has anything to add. So why should we believe anything that the state is telling us at this point? They love to play their games, folks. They love to play their games. We're talking months now since Epstein was found dead in that cell. You're telling me we had footage of the Iranian general being blown to smithereens in minutes, but we still don't have footage from the day of the Epstein's death? They've released no footage? Why? Why have you released no footage? And I don't want to hear, because we're investigating the two guards. Yeah, that's convenient for you, huh? You slap charges on these guards and now nobody can have any information from the case? Makes sense. So we should just believe you, huh, Mr. Barr? We should just believe what you have to say to us. Sorry, we don't. You ready, Mr. Barr? I'm going to let you have one, okay? You and your buddy Prince Andrew. You guys will both have one. Nobody believes you, Mr. Barr, okay? They don't believe you in North Dakota. They don't believe you in South Dakota. They don't believe you in Minnesota. And they do not believe you in Texas. They don't believe you in Maryland. They do not believe you in Florida. They don't believe you in Arizona. And they do not believe you in Washington State. They don't believe you in Oregon. They do not believe you in London. They do not believe you anywhere. Okay, Mr. Barr? The penguins in Antarctica don't believe you, and the polar bears in the great Arctic North do not believe you either, okay? So put up or shut up. We have had enough of the lies and the deceit. We want answers, and we will not stop pursuing those answers. So, you might as well just be forthcoming with them, sir. Prove to us that we can trust you. If not, well, you're no better than the rest of them, and you'll be called up on the carpet just like anybody else who is not doing the right thing in this case. All right, folks, I hope that you all have an amazing Monday. I will be back later on with some more drops, and we will get this week kicked off in the right direction. Because you know what the deal is. Here on this podcast, the year 2020, this year that we're in right now, the roaring 20s, folks, we just kicked the door into the 20s, and here we are. This is the year that the predators turn into the prey. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at Bobbycapucci at protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI at protonmail.com. And if you would like to help support the podcast and support some of our upcoming adventures, you can click on the GoFundMe link inside of the description box. All right, folks, I will talk to you later on. Enjoy your Monday.